Hey, welcome to the show, Leading and Growing Your Real Estate Business. This is Coach James Short, aka Shorty. And this is a show for those within the real estate industry wanting to lead and grow their real estate business. It's a series of interviews that we conduct for those within the industry. So we're finding out what those leaders are within the industry, what makes them tick, what's their story, what are their strategies, and how to become the leaders and the growers within the industry. But also it's an interview series with those outside of the industry. I'm always a big believer of looking at a whole different part of the pie rather than just focusing on one part of the pie. Because what it does, it allows you to have a different perspective, allows you to get snippets or golden nuggets from those outside of the industry that can look into the industry and go, there's a different perspective. And so I encourage you to reach out to the guests. I encourage you to lean into these series to find out how can these pieces of information, experiences, stories help you lead and grow your real estate business. And before we get underway with our latest episode, just a little shout out to these amazing crew at Magic Mind. Magic Mind has been it's a productivity hit in the bottle. I've been using these supplementations now for a number of weeks, and the clarity, the focus, and the performance that I've been getting from these nutrients in a bottle. They've got amazing vitamins, amazing minerals. They've got a bunch of mushrooms in there as well. It's a great productivity hack that I've been using every single day. So if you want to try it out, head on over to www.magicmind.com/James Short, and you'll be able to get amazing discounts when you subscribe and when you try the product. And at the checkout, simply add in James Short 20 to get your discount. So head on over, Magic Mind, productivity in a bottle. Oh, I love it. Now, on with the show. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Leading and Growing Your Real Estate Business. We have an incredible guest with you today, Joel Hollings from McGrath. Mate,
I'm short.
Absolutely appreciate it. Thank you for your
time. All right, pleasure, mate.
I know you're a busy man, willing and dealing.
Yeah, we're not doing Zoom. We're doing face to face.
How good's this?
Yeah,
right?
this is good.
Belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball.
Yeah, good.
Over 25 years have been in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Some lessons. When you look back on that, you go, "Holy moly!" Right?
Yeah.
How did what was those initial beginnings? Where did they start out for you?
Went and got my CPDs done at the REI myself, without sort of any direction from anyone else. Just thought I wanted to be an agent. We were just talking brother-in-law. Was a very successful agent in the eastern suburbs. I'd met him and sort of was coming out of the pub industry at the time, and thought it was a good thing to do. Worked with him for 4 weeks, didn't ask for any money. Just wanted
work
the experience. It was a very good crash course because I think he was running 7, 8, 9 auctions at the one time, as you know, Arthur did, and I went from the start of each campaign to the end over the 4 weeks. He sold all of them on the Saturday. God knows how we did that. And then he actually said to me on the Monday, because I just popped in, I was in casual, he's like, "Mate, I don't really have a job for you." And I went, "Oh, no, I'm not asking for a job. Thank you. I just wanted the experience." And then I went and applied for a couple of jobs. I ended up starting at West Pennant Hills with a lady named Cheryl Venables. I think she's still in the industry. Little two-man team. And 6 months into it, I sold something on my first day.
Serious?
It was 62 County Drive or 64.
Always remember your first.
Always remember the first. For full freight, $4.99. I'll never forget it.
Yep.
And I got my first listing on the 30th day of my career.
Yep.
24 Blackwattle Place at Cherrybrook.
Wow.
I got that listing because I watched another agent park outside, and they went and door knocked it after because I was pamphlet dropping, and I must have been so green. I was, because I remember going through the agency agreement with him, and I literally did not practice one, and he looked at me and goes, "Mate, have you filled one of these out before?" And I actually said, "Oh, they've changed the form." So here you can fill it out. So I was able to get through that. Yeah, I remember it was 2.75. I put it on for 4.79, and it took me 9 months to sell it. Anyway,
you got it done.
Yeah, so I mean, at 6 months, I think off the top of my head, I had around 18 listings. I picked up all second-hand stock. There was really nothing new.
Yep.
I mean, the average days on market back there was 90.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, very different marketplace to what we've been in the last decade.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of properties will go through 2-3 agents before it actually sold.
Yep.
So, yeah, went through that. At 6 months, I probably made a decision to not continue with that principle.
Yep.
Even though they'd given me a start, I probably wasn't getting any leadership or mentorship out of her. And she had a busy life, great person, no disrespect in any case. But I went back to the brother-in-law and sort of, I probably used him as that mentorship. I probably should have asked a bit more, but I felt like I was impeding, you know, I mean, I think they had 3,000 managements and however big they were.
Yep.
So he had a lot on his plate, but he was able to help me enough. At that point, at 6 months, I made the decision to do my licence.
Yep.
At Macleay College, met Dave Gray. Little did I know that he knew my sister. But another world, another story for that.
Different podcast.
Yeah, different podcast on that one. So yeah, did that over the next 12 months, and then ended up working with the brother-in-law for about 12 months. In a sort of a PM role. I actually stepped out of sales, went into PM, and actually front desk because Randwick was so busy. I was one of the only guys that could handle that phone. It was insane. I think about the amount of calls. There'd have to be 300 calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were the days where it was $50 deposit, hand keys out, they go and show themselves through, which I'm mortified about today.
You think back about
the safety aspect. So anyway, did that, and then did 12 months with them. In the last 4 months of that, I did dabble in development sites, but we're still doing some PM work. And I was at my sister's home in Seven Hills, mowing lawns, and the real estate agent that sold the house to them popped past, and he was in a Porsche.
Yep.
And I thought, nice car. And he said, "Oh, you're the brother in real estate. Like, if you ever want a job." I'm like, "What are you offering?"
Yep.
And I was there. That was end of 03.
Wow.
And the market had grown. The average sale out there at the time was probably 350 to 380.
Yeah, wow.
12 months earlier, it was 250.
Right. Okay.
So we ended up. I ended up there. There were 7 salespeople. I was the 7th.
Yep.
2 selling principals.
Yep.
In a very dominant office. And then 04 hit.
Yeah.
And market corrected overnight by 10%.
Yep.
And then for the next 12 months corrected another 10%, so a 20% drop. So most homes at 380 went back to 300.
Yeah.
Average days on market stretched to 120.
Wow.
It was really, really different.
Yeah.
So that was a really good company. It was probably the right place to go at the time.
Yep.
I stayed with them for almost 12 years.
Yeah.
Probably felt I was going to buy into that business.
Yep.
Happy I never did.
Hindsight.
Right. And it wasn't a bad thing. It was just it was time for me. I outgrew that brand. I outgrew that thinking. Outgrew other people around me. Probably didn't see eye to eye with a couple of people within that business. And never to pull anyone down. I was always a positive thinking, always glass half full rather than half empty. And then I probably hit a crossroad on whether to go independent under my own name, go into another national franchise, and then McGrath was on the table.
Yeah, wow.
So, really interesting crossroads that.
Yeah. What made you make that decision? Like, when you look back on it today, how did you actually confirm that decision that was the path you were going to go down?
The first boulder that came down the chute was really I wasn't comfortable where I was.
Yep.
And it was, I guess it was the universe telling me that it was time to move. Yeah, time to grow out of that shell.
Yep.
So that was the first thing. I probably pined on that for 3 months. I actually worked in an environment I didn't enjoy. To give some scope, like at that time I was doing 110 to 120 transactions.
Yeah, big
so
volume.
I was busy.
Yeah, big volume.
And so coming into that for 90 days, and it was absolute hell working in that environment. Probably because I didn't have my clear picture of where I wanted to go. Thinking independent was probably the last thing on the decision.
Yep.
I went to another principal who owned 2 offices and said to him, we lost a lot of business to their sales guys because they would say, oh, we've got more expensive buyers. And I went to him and said, listen, mate, I'll open this, let's brand it under yours, and we'll be partners. And he literally, probably the biggest error that I see in that guy's career, went, nah, you can come and work for me, we're not doing that. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I knew 90% of his sales guys, like on a personal level.
Yeah, right.
And they were like excited to have me there. And I'm sort of like, does this guy not get it? Like, and then I realised it was the same thinking that I was coming out of. And I'm like, if you didn't see it, you'll never see it.
Yeah.
I can't even, like all the decisions, even in today's decisions with McGrath, every one of them, we make them decisively, we make them straight away. It's not, if we have to think of it, it's too late. If we don't get excited about it, we're not doing it. So McGrath was an interesting thing because I'd had a conversation. I actually rang David Gray, and one evening he was in the car with someone else, and that person was a close friend of John McGrath. And I didn't realise that person was in the car. I was fairly liberal, if you know me, around my vocabulary, fairly strong and
creative. We'll call it.
Creative. Yeah, that's a great deflection there. I shared some information. If I knew that person was in the car, I probably wouldn't have.
Yep.
However, David was like, "Listen, I'll call you back. I'll call you back. I'll call you back." He obviously saw her reaction. And then she's like, he needs to get in front of John. Yep. He's the right guy for them. And she was a recruiter, Sharon Benny.
Yep.
So, and thank you, Sharon, because she did that in...
Sliding door moment.
Yep, sliding door moment.
Yep.
And I guess David rang back, Sharon spoke and said, listen, I'm going to put you in front of John. John, to me, was probably that next level guy.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
So I think there was a little fear around meeting him.
Yep.
But not because I was scared of him, probably because I felt I may come to the table with less than what he would want.
Got it. Yeah.
And so I was probably a little bit reserved with him.
Yep.
He was actually in France, I think, at the time. And he said, mate, I can't... He rang me the next day. He said, mate, I'm travelling... And, you know, I'd love to see you when you get back. And I'm like, mate, I'm making decisions. I'm going to make them next week.
Yep.
I'm really sorry if that's not in your schedule. And he's like, listen, I can put Matt LeWood running.
Yeah.
And Matt had sold in my mum's neighbourhood around you guys, where you guys all lived. And I was actually intrigued to meet Matt because he'd done a heck of a lot of business. And, we met actually in this boardroom. Wow. He came to Parramatta.
Yeah.
And in all of that 15 minutes worth handshake, we were done.
Wow.
There wasn't a question.
You just knew?
Yeah, it just felt right. Like it wasn't hard. There was the greatest question I had was, I was coming out of Seven Hills, an office that was 60% market share, highly dominant. I had 40% market share in one single suburb, 25 in another.
Wow.
And so I was literally moving out of that to come to an office that was 5 kilometres in the opposite direction.
Yeah, wow.
So in my old mind thinking, and then Matt said, you don't need, the shop fronts don't work anymore. And that was the McGrath ideology. And I bought into that. There were 2 great guys, Nick and Frank, that worked out of this office. And they did Bosley Park. Now, if you don't know where that is a 30-minute drive southwest.
Yep.
And they were doing, I think, $1.5 million. And I was like, well, if I can drive 10 or 15 minutes that way,
I'm sure we can work that out.
Yeah. So Yeah, I literally signed. We had the agreement in the next couple of days. I resigned there on the, I think it was the 30th of December off the top of my head.
Yep.
It was a Saturday. And I remember walking into the bosses, and they were great to me over my career, and I just handed over the books. That was before Agent Box. I went, here's the keys. You guys call the buyers, I'm out of here. And it was sad to go from there, but it was the right thing. Yeah, it wasn't, there was no bitterness. Even though there were a couple of people within that business that probably still today don't see eye to eye with me, it was not about them, it was definitely about me.
Yep.
And actually it was a really heavy load lifted because it was 6 months to get to that point.
Yeah.
And then that night, 10 o'clock, I got a text message off a client and went, "Oh, we're selling Mum's place and can you meet me at 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow and we'll put the agency together." Well, in the logistics of it, it was all paper back then. Yeah. I didn't have an agency agreement. I didn't have the bank one. I didn't even know corporation because I came across as a contractor. Yep, so it wasn't going to be an employee.
Yeah.
So I rang Matt, the hood, and went, "Mate, I'm in a bit of a pickle. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm sure we can figure it out." And he went, "Don't worry, no problem, I'll get you." He had an REI book of agency agreements delivered to home at 9 a.m. on Sunday. And, mate, my average sale price at the time was $600,000. That was when we were talking about commissions and coming across and stuff. Matt then questioned me the next day and he goes, "Mate, you've just listed something for $1 million, but I thought you'd do 600,000. And he goes, "Now you're a McGrath agent." And I thought, there we go. Bit of ego.
Yep. The rite of passage.
Yeah. So in the first 8 days of being at McGrath, I listed 9 properties. Everyone that I'd spoken to had no reason to not come across. Mm-hmm. In fact, they actually preferred that brand over coming out of a C21 brand.
Yep.
And it was all guns blazing. Wow. It was pretty intense.
Yep.
It was obviously the right decision.
Yeah.
I had great people around me in the company. Really good support. There were 2 girls that worked here, Eva and Dina, and the sales manager at the time, Katina Gitanos. Mm-hmm. Gianos. And they were wonderful. Yeah. I mean, I walked into a brand that I had a huge amount of respect for.
Yep.
There were some, to me, they were iconic local agents: David Ryan, Sandra Aquilina, Donna Lee. They were like, to me, world superstars.
Yeah, right.
And he was the little old guy from Seven Hills Blacktown.
You.
And mate, we cracked it. Yeah.
So what does it look like today? Hey guys, just a little side note here. How's it going? Are you on track this year? I know that sometimes this part of the year we can feel like we're in a bit of a grind, a bit of in the trenches. Are you on track from the original plans that you set out for the rest of this year? What I've realized is that with this time of year, we get so distracted and we've got trying to chase so many shiny balls and go down so many rabbit holes. And that's why I created a program called the 90. It's a framework that actually allows you to achieve more in 90 days than ever before. Some of the feedback that we've got from some of the people that have used the process, the 90, is that they've achieved more in 90 days than the whole previous year. So if you'd like to have the tools, have the techniques, have the framework on the 90, so you and your team can achieve more in 90 days than ever before. What it does, it impacts you of how to get clear, what you need to do, and who you need to be to show up in order to achieve the things you want to achieve over the next 90 days. Simply head over to jamesshort.com.au, click on join the waitlist, fill in your details, and one of the team members will be in touch and take you through the 90 framework. On with the show.
At the moment, active offers is 5, but 7 in total. 93, I think, in the sales team.
Yep.
I think about the same amount in PM.
Yep.
Don't know the PM numbers off the top of my head. I should know that, but we haven't had a meeting for a while.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. So, so it's interesting. We obviously we were in Parramatta for the first couple of years.
Yeah.
Company then decided to open Blacktown.
Yep.
We moved into that office. I actually never wanted to go to Blacktown, funny enough.
Yeah, right.
Because I thought I was always a 7 hours agent.
Yeah. Big difference.
Yeah, it's like the Bellevue Hill agent. Oh, I'm not having a shop in Randwick or whatever on the fact. So, yeah, it was definitely the right thing.
Yep.
Even though internally I didn't agree with it at the time, but it was a superb office.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we missed a couple of recruits as we opened. And that probably put Blacktown on a trajectory to just me as a team running that whole income into that business.
Yeah.
PM was run from Parramatta, so really we had this stunning office. We had a couple of agents come in and out, but they were probably never really committed.
Yep.
And then at the time, company then offered it to us, and then we'd floated. There was all of that stuff happened, and then I started the same day or relatively the same week as my business partner today, Con.
Yep.
And I always got along with him. I was always very direct as an agent, still as a human. I feel like I'm very direct.
Yep.
And he resigned because he became the head of our sales. Matt obviously went in the agency and did all that stuff. Had an opportunity to go there at one point, and I thought, no, I felt that McGrath was the right fit for me. I still loved what John had created, his ideology. You know, there were more pros to stay than cons and whatever. So anyway, came along, Con resigned, and I remember texting him, but he was on escrow, he couldn't come back to us or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And for 12 months he wasn't allowed to talk to any of the sales agents. So I sort of lost a relationship that I had with him, and whether I wanted to open the office myself, like take it off corporate, because they said they were happy to let that go. I'm acutely aware of my strengths and weaknesses, and it probably would have made me into a madman running my own office on my own.
Yep.
Not saying I couldn't have done it, but I just didn't really want to do it. 3 kids, lovely wife.
Yep.
So, I made that decision to... Con then texted me one day. He goes, "Hey mate, how are you?" We had actually travelled on a trip at one point to America, so we became friends as much as work colleagues. Yep. And then he said, "Oh mate, I have an opportunity to buy the Parramatta shop." Now I'm born and bred sort of between Blacktown and Parramatta. Yep. And I just said to him, "Listen man, that is the best thing I've ever heard in my life." And he sort of went, "Oh, well, I'll catch you over the next couple of weeks." And I'm like, "I've just cleared my diary, bro. We are meeting today." And so I'd run a lot. I wasn't as heavy as I am today. Anyway, let's not talk about that.
Different podcast.
Yeah, different podcast. My running track was through Parramatta, and all I kept seeing were DA signs and just signs that Parramatta was really emerging. Yeah. I'd heard about the rezoning and stuff like that. I never really delved into it.
And you could see it come to...
Oh, mate, I knew 100,000 dwellings going in there, 100,000 new employees. I'm sort of like, well, a little while Parramatta's not going to be Parramatta anymore. Totally. And then we sat down that day, and because Con's from Melbourne, so he has no intrinsic knowledge of Western Sydney. If, in fact, 90% of his time would have been spent in the north, the east and the inner city. Yeah. So... I then drew this thing and just went, "Brother, this is what's going to happen." Yep. And I really think this is a launch pad for us. And at the time, he had a lot going on in his personal life, and he'd had this 12 months in escrow. He'd got clarity in his own life, so he'd come around and he goes, "You really think so?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man." Like he said to me, we're going to have 1,000 managements, $3 million business, blah, 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 and we'll be home and hose. And I was like, hell no. This is 10,000 managements. I was thinking $10 million business, maybe 15 in GCI turnover. Yeah, thinking 20 if we dreamed big. Yeah, and we shook hands, did a deal, and so then history. Yeah, we had some interesting. Con is exceptional recruiter. Yep. We were able to snafu Amit Noyak out of another brand in Parramatta, and he became a partner within the business, and then Rouse Hill, the franchisor, had sort of exited out of there and was company run. They'd sort of said to us, hey, let's go on. Why don't we take that? But at the same breath, they were sort of like, well, you really need to recruit some people. So I had an existing relationship with Rumour Mundy through C21. I wouldn't say that we're absolutely close, but we were good with each other. And I had a very good friend working for her.
Yeah, right.
And I remember having the initial conversation with her about it. And I said, I think this is a much better platform for you to come and join our business. That took a little while. I think a little while sounds 6 months or something like that. But anyway, maybe 9 months. And when she came across, we were then we bought her rent roll, amalgamated her in, made her a partner, and then it just sort of snowballed into the next step was for corporate to talk to us about Castle Hill.
Yeah, right.
They're obviously, and I hope I'm not speaking out of school, their strategy is to come out of McGrath offices themselves, but have franchisors. So we're obviously a very high performing franchise group. And then Castle Hill became a reality. We absorbed them into our team, and then we had some really good recruits come across in that. So that's and I mean, still today we're 4 years into it, and I still feel we're infant, we're juvenile in what we're doing. But we've got some really good real estate heads.
Yeah, great.
And I think that sort of
it makes a difference.
Makes a huge difference, even though principals are selling. I think a lot of us are probably able to share our knowledge within the group to make other people grow. Like I've just had Monique Leyoun, who's been with me for 4 years, go out on her own. We really see this business being, probably fourfold where we are today is probably our goal. It's come a long way. I still sell day to day. Still enjoy it. Every moment of it. I don't think I'd do anything else. And I think that sort of goes down well with it, especially the younger kids coming through today, that they're seeing an active principal who's willing to help them.
Totally.
Yeah, because a lot of principals go, come and join my team. And then they're just like, here's the book, go and get these things. And they're sort of like, no, where I'll sit down and go, okay, mate, so how are you feeling about this? And is your personal life good? Are you alert? And then let's grow this business, and how do we change that thinking? Because it's just blockages in their minds, mate.
1,000%. And I just want to capture on a couple of things that you just said there. Is around the ability back in the day, thinking that maybe not going out on your own and doing your own office wasn't the thing. Tapping into, I guess, the knowledge around within, for example, Con and other people within the business. Talk to me, and you're the type of person that gets to the point, but also wears your heart on your sleeve. Talk to me about that leadership style then you have and you cultivate within your intimate team, but also the bigger team that you've got as well. How does that get displayed?
We have a team meeting every Monday, and that really logistically launches our week around open homes and stuff. But I try and grab the guys, and I don't make it a set thing, because I think when people make set meetings, they sort of, you don't get outcomes out of them. But each week I'll go, okay, I'm talking with Tristan and my new guy, and then the next week it's Monique. But during that week I'll go to Monique, hey, do you need anything from me? I think that's a really easy question to ask. And then, but you've got to ask it sincerely and actually look in their eyes when you're asking. Not, hey man, do you need something? No, cool, great. You don't. You're not really out. I'm walking out the door, kind of thing. And I'm like, do you need anything from me? And same with Peter Sutherland, because he's been with me for over a decade. Like, I'm like, do you need anything from me? I'm always there when they need something from me. But more importantly, like I don't sit them down every week and go, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. I have conversations that are really raw and open and just go, mate, what's going on? Just like, is there something, like, is it your personal life? Because we all know, mate, personal life's off track, business is never working. So a lot of it stems in that. So, how do I keep them on track? Like, I've got a young guy right now who's challenged me to the nth degree, but I love him. And I had to get him to start, what you're doing every half an hour for the whole day. And he was half filling it out, and I can just see this grit where grit at the moment. But I'm saying, I keep on reminding him, mate, this is actually for you. I don't have to prove it to anyone. I've done what you want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to help you. So all of those blockages. So that's been 4 weeks, and I think there's another 4 to 6 weeks of that. He's like a Bronco. I've got to break him. But it'll be good. But I love my whole team.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what's going on, I feel like I could, walk into their life at any point and say, like, just tell me, be real with me.
Yep.
I
think that's the piece, though. Like, it's that openness and that willing to asking for where do they need, what do they need, and so forth. And you've got the stripes. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's like, come with me. Let's do this together.
Do this together. And like, I quite often people say, hey, take me to an MA, and I'm like, no, you're not coming to my MAs.
Yep.
Like, if you want me to go to an MA, you go and get the lead, and we'll go and close it together.
Yeah.
Because I have conversations in listings today that are just so different to what people think you need to have in a listing presentation. Yes. But it's 25 years of
building that.
You were sort of walking into that. And it's never taken for granted. I'm always very grateful for every piece of business. I actually lost one recently that I was absolutely devastated. But it was more, did I drop the ball? Like, was I?
Yeah.
It was their decision that it hasn't gone well. They're coming back to us.
Yep.
And the client actually said, Phil, you're going to say told you so. I'm like, no, absolutely not, dude. Like, I respect that. They promised you something extra. It never eventuated.
Yeah.
So sometimes like that, it tests your core beliefs, because you're sort of like, I am a good person,
and
I always work hard, and I'm always there, and you can always get to me.
Yep.
And that's what I teach my guys. Like, you can be great one day and shit the next day.
Yep.
Well, then you need 2 great days to fix that shitness. So don't do that to yourself. Like, so many guys are great for a quarter and then toast for a half a year.
Totally.
And that's just, you'll never have a great career. And I could say the guys that I know in the industry that write 7 figures are dogged.
Yeah.
They are not part-timers. They're not trying to be agents. They are good agents. Yeah. They have opportunities where they could do something wrong. They choose not to do it.
Yeah.
When everyone else is taking a shortcut, they are reminding themselves why not to take the shortcut.
Yeah.
And so I say to my guys, this is hard work. This is an absolute hardest thing you can do. But where can you, without a degree, earn 300 grand in a year?
Totally.
Yeah, without doing 6 or 7 years of uni, and then building up or working for someone or opening your own or not having smashing overheads.
Totally.
Yeah, you just can't do it anywhere else. So, but it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
And that cost is, mate, it's dogged. And then when you don't want to do it, get up and do it. And it's like training over and over again, and then it'll pay. And I listed one yesterday. I lost it 2 years ago. Yeah, and when they said to me, the other guys told me 100 grand more, I'm like, mate, I don't see it. I know I could say to you, we could try, like most guys do.
Yep.
I just said to them, sorry, I can't see that, but I would love your business, and I don't think the agent's never sold anything in the area, and I can't see them bringing buyers from this area to this area. It's just, I don't see that. But I wish you all the best of luck. And it was I never rubbished the other agent. I never said to the owner, try to play games, come out of them, come with us. At 4 months, because I knew they signed a 4-month agency, I rang them and said, Daniel, I'm sure it hasn't been easy. And he's like, man, you were so right. And I'm like, it's not about right or wrong, mate. Are you guys all right?
Yep.
And they weren't. They said it really burnt their head.
Yeah.
And so when I sat down with them, which is 12 months after that last conversation, I've obviously stayed in touch by text, email and whatever over the time. He was just like, man, we really got burnt by the last thing. And I said, please don't make your experience of that. We are not like that. And I don't think you think I'm like that, but I'm just reminding you, just throw that in the bin.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to have that kind of experience. And they're like, okay, cool, no problem.
Great.
So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
On the show, we have a 60-second quiz to find out a little bit more about yourself. You ready to play?
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
Do I get the questions first and I can craft the answer?
No. Favourite food?
Oh. Ribs.
Favourite movie?
Oh, good question. Oh, so many, Shorty. What are you talking about? I don't like scary movies. What, so I can bin all of those ones?
Yep.
Tropic Thunder.
Love it. Okay. Favourite holiday destination?
Favourite holiday? I haven't been there, but I'd like to go to Kakadu.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you have a morning routine?
Yes.
What is it?
Depending on the day.
Yep.
Ideal.
Sure.
Yeah. Out of bed by 5.
Yep.
Gym late as 6.
Yep.
30 to 45 minutes of weights. Sauna or sweat room.
Yep.
Back home before everyone gets up.
Yep.
Breakfast, shower, suit, kids goodbye, wifey off to work, crack it till 6. Yeah.
Evening routine?
I'm still working on that at the moment. Actually, I've had a couple of things that have been good for me. The reading is something that I probably haven't had enough of,
Yep.
but getting back into that this year.
Yep.
Breath work.
Yep.
And meditation I find better for me at night.
Yeah, nice.
A lot of guys do that in the morning, journaling and whatever. It's sort of gone out the window this year. I just don't feel like I've got the oomph for it.
Yep.
Last year I did journaling in the morning.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm not journaling at the moment. I don't know why. But yeah, night time is breath work, meditation and reading before
nice.
bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could choose 5 inspirational people to have dinner with, they could be dead or alive, who would they be?
Come on, man, dead or alive? Nikola Tesla.
Yep.
Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
I probably want to see one of my friends again.
Yep.
Mark. Winston Churchill.
Yep.
Wayne Dyer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool
That'd be
conversations
cool.
around that table.
Yeah, it'd be interesting conversations. I'm sure there'd be a big fat cigar being smoked on Churchill. Wayne would be telling him to put that out, he's going to kill you.
Biggest regret?
None.
Great. If you were Prime Minister for the day, what's one thing that you'd do?
Nationalise our workforce with our own minerals in the country that we have. I think is the biggest waste that Australia goes through.
Yeah.
And the stuff that we sell raw overseas, then comes back and pay for it. It's insanity. Anyone that's a businessman probably thinks the same.
Yeah. Best piece of advice?
Never give up, no matter what it is. Even when you think it's over, it's never over. Even when you want to walk away from it, don't. Just finish it. Yeah, just don't walk away.
Yeah.
And mate, there have been times I was definitely walking out of real estate. I was walking out of family. I was walking away from everything, and that beauty is always just on the edge of it, like that. The next thing, and it's just that next moment becomes bliss because you know how deep or how close you were to going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to keep at it, keep moving forward, you know. And I think the challenges that come, like I said to my team the other day, how often do you think about breathing? And they're like, what? And I'm like, how often does anyone think of air?
Totally.
Well, you just don't. Well, not unless you're choking.
Yeah.
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 But if you look at life, even your business is like air. It's always going to be there.
Yeah.
There's an abundance of it. You don't have to think it. You just do it. Yeah. And if you want more of it, we'll just do more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think just keep going. Never stop. no matter how shit it is, how scared you are. So, and some of the decisions I've heard from guys that are friends in business and stuff, how scared they were at certain points, that then the next step was so beautiful. It made it the same as being a parent.
Totally right.
How scared you are, like going,
All the unknowns.
yeah, from that, you know, and it made and it's even, you know, asking. I remember asking Lucy out for a date.
Yeah.
You know how scared I was for her to go, nah, ginger. Sorry, we're not taking one of those. Yeah, just don't give up. Just keep going.
What's the next 12 months look like for you?
Good question. What, in my own team or in the business itself?
Wherever you'd like to take that question.
Yeah, I'm replacing or replenishing team at the moment. Definitely not getting rid of anyone. That should, we want to up our turnover by 25%.
Yep.
Business wise, yeah, we'd probably see another 2 to 3 offices.
Yep.
And if not offices, enough staff that would be in other offices that can amalgamate into ours. You know, I think we're circa, sales-wise, I think we should be tracking around 35 mil in the sales team. I think we should at least be at 70. The ultimate goal is 100 mil.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's quite easily achievable. I think there's some internal blockages that we're working with now.
Yep.
That's going to grow, and I mean, you're always going to have some people in the team that never want to look at where they're going.
Totally.
And then you're going to have the person that goes, mate, you should be doing 500 mil, and you're just like, crackpot. Yeah, but there's a happy medium where I think we see ourselves at 100 mil.
Yep.
But also, too, we want to grow the people within our organisation to be the next thing. The one thing I think a lot of principals make the mistake of is like trying to keep it all for themselves. They never have a succession plan. Yeah, I mean, I clearly know what year I want to stop doing this. Yeah, that is a clear distinction. So I'm like, okay, cool, I've only got this amount of time. I'm cramming it into that.
Yeah.
But don't, you know, like we've had very successful players fold their business into ours.
Yep.
But it's not, that's probably the wrong way to say it. They've chose to amalgamate with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Corey Skiveris, Rimmer Mundy.
Yeah.
These people could go anywhere, you know, like why do we have people like Monique Lane coming through the ranks? Why do we have Sandra Aquilina that's been with McGrath for 20 years?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think the core ideology within our business is we're good people.
Yeah.
We're good people, and we want people to enjoy the environment that they're in, and sometimes people don't get it right. We don't get everything right, but I tell you what, we listen. Yep. And we make sure that we're always open to growing and that next step, because we never give up, no matter what's going on. I mean, the moment we amalgamated those businesses, mate, COVID hit, and I know everyone hates talking about that stuff, and we were literally shit scared when that happened. We were like, oh God, like we're going to lose everything. Yep. You know, and lockdowns and all that stuff. But we got through that, and we got through that with flying colours. And you know, I think that's the real tenacity that's shown within our leadership. And without our whole team, that everyone was, you know, everyone was probably as scared as each other. Yep. But we all pulled each other through that, and you know, I think that energy around that is really important. That's why, you know, when listing, I'm celebrating it with everyone. Yeah. It's not just Joel's got another listing. It's just like, nah, man, because you use that for you to get your momentum. Totally. And that's the environment that we're in. And I know Con's a great advocate of that. I know Amit, myself, Ruma, Brad Panner, Kim McCleary, great leaders within our business. Brett Humby, Phil Nicholas, Corey, Greg Vincent, you know, and like the Choi brothers. Yeah. And you know, there's some great iconic agents with us, and I think. We all want to do better together. Yeah. It's easier to fly better together, I think. And I think you'll find more and more agents will choose not to run their businesses and rather amalgamate with a brand that is really, really strong. And we're tech savvy, we're smart. Yeah. We know what we're doing. We've got very good baseline of systems in place that allow us to manoeuvre when we need to. Yeah. And that manoeuvring isn't, you know, 5 years down the track. That is literally every 6 months of going, okay, cool, where are we next? Where are we next? Feels like it's forever changing with whatever.
But that's part of the bigger picture goal. How can the audience reach out, follow your journey, get into contact?
Oh, you can always ring me. You can email me if you want. I mean, social media is just junk, isn't it? So you can follow my social media if you want. I don't ever post 10%. But yeah, I mean, you can call me anytime, mate. You can email me anytime. Or reach out on socials. It's fine. I am on there. I'm slow getting back to you on that one. But I'm still up in the air. I mean, for all these years, I only started doing videos 2 years ago, and someone says, videos will change your life. And I'm sort of like, oh, really? I have to do videos now? I mean, what next? Do I have to tap dance and stuff?
Yep.
It is what it is, man. I just roll and go with them, roll with the punches. Yep. And, the younger kids teaching me how to do all this technology stuff. Fantastic. So, call anytime, bro.
Joel Hollings, thank you very much.
Shorty, good to see you, man.